A while back, I made a video about BJ Tyler, a player whose career ended because he fell asleep with an ice pack on his ankles. That silly little injury literally ended his NBA career. Throughout history, we've seen numerous times when an injury puts an end to a promising career. However, in this video, I want to take a look at some silly, stupid injuries that changed the course of a player's career. Many of these injuries you're about to see could have been easily prevented too. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and without further ado, let's get started. Tony Allen. On January 10th, 2007, Tony Allen was a young lad on the Boston Celtics, having the best season of his career. It was looking good for a while, and he was making outstanding strides in his game. But then, in what seemed like a normal play in a regular season game, Allen got fouled by Stephen Jackson out on the perimeter. The whistle was blown, the game was stopped. However, Allen, wanting to show off, decided to try and throw down a tomahawk. He went up, missed, came down, and landed awkwardly on his left knee. That landing ruptured his ACL and MCL, and not just that, when he came back, he was forced to change his playstyle because he lost a significant chunk of his athleticism. People don't remember now, but back then, Allen was a high flyer. His upside was enormous due to his sheer athleticism. Since then, he reinvented himself to become a defensive stud, the grindfather that we all know and love. Because of that injury, Allen's entire career trajectory changed. He went from being an aspiring star to a defensive-minded player. He needed to do that to compensate for his diminished scoring role once he returned. When asked about how he rediscovered his place in the NBA, Allen responded, "It was definitely a humbling experience to injure myself because around that time I was playing at a high level. Unfortunately, that happened, but like I say, it made me into the man I am today. My preparation beforehand is a lot different now." Allen started taking care of his body a lot more, up until the end of his career. More importantly, he probably would not have turned into the defensive player we know him as today, had he never gotten injured. Darko Milicic. Darko is known for a lot of things, being the second pick after LeBron, being one of the biggest busts in NBA history, chugging a bottle of beer with no hands, and of course, the first player from the 03 class to win a championship. Though he didn't really have any impact. In the 04 playoffs, he only appeared in 8 games and did not play more than 3 minutes in any game. Despite barely playing though, Darko still somehow managed to break his hand. It happened in Game 5 as the Pistons were blowing out the Lakers en route to the title. Darko played just 2 minutes in that final game, and he apparently broke his hand during that short span. This is what the report said. The second overall pick in the NBA draft was hurt at the end of the 5th and final game of the NBA Finals. It is not clear when during the game the injury occurred. He missed Thursday's parade celebrating the team's victory. To add on to the story, during an interview years later, Darko mentioned that he went to the sidelines to tell Larry Brown that his hand was broken. But Coach Larry Brown did not believe him. He pushed him away and told him to get back into the game. A few seconds later, Darko aggravated the hand injury again. Keep in mind, this was all during garbage time. The Pistons were gonna win anyway, so this was all pointless. I can understand why Darko hated his time there though. Brown treated him like trash. It also led to a massive setback. The hand injury required surgery and caused him to miss over 2 months. It was even longer, actually. He had basically no time over the summer to train and get better. It didn't help that the Pistons did not give a crap about him. I think we give Darko too much flack. While he was drafted to a contender, it was a terrible situation for his personal development. Andrew Bynum. You remember that massive trade involving Andrew Bynum and Dwight Howard? Well, Bynum got sent to the Philadelphia 76ers amongst a roaring crowd. Back in 2012, he was on his way to becoming the league's best center. It was him and Dwight Howard competing for that honor. That's why there was so much excitement in Philly, exemplified when a Sixers director made this infamous statement. This trade is the culmination of a very active offseason, one that we believe positions the Sixers for success this season and for many years to come. As you can tell, the expectations for Bynum were sky high. Sadly, he never played a single game for them, and his career ended shortly after. Why? Apparently, while him and his friends were out bowling, he tweaked his knee. Bynum actually got injections to both his knees a few months prior, and he was supposed to be resting, according to the doctors. That injury from bowling was a huge setback, and the doctors said his knee swelled up and bruised. Over time, the cartilage in his knee weakened, and it wasn't getting any stronger as the months went by. His knees turned out to be degenerative, so even without this bowling incident, his career was on a timer. But this certainly ended it faster. Greg Oden. Oden had a myriad of knee problems throughout his career, but the thing is, the first injury he suffered after getting drafted was quite strange. In September 2007, a month before his rookie season even started, Oden underwent a microfracture surgery on his right knee. It was surprising because there were no indications that Oden had knee problems prior to the draft. So what prompted him to get microfracture surgery right before the season? Apparently, he got injured from standing up from the couch. As he stood up, he felt something pop, and that's how he got his first major injury. Over the years, that injury snowballed and got worse and worse, as he had to get surgery on that same knee 3 different times, all leading back to this injury on the couch. Granted, considering how fragile he is, I don't think it mattered much. It would have happened eventually because his knees are made of glass. Kevin Johnson. Despite the controversy of his post-career escapades, Kevin Johnson was an incredible point guard back in his day. However, his career was also marred with injuries. A bunch of miscellaneous, various injuries, all of which accumulated over the years, which led to his early retirement. The most serious one, though, started as a complete joke. In 1992, he suffered an undiagnosed sports hernia, reportedly because he would routinely lift up Oliver Miller during warm-ups. Miller weighed over 300 pounds. For the next 2 years, KJ would keep doing this stupid ritual, unaware that he's destroying his back. By 1996, he discovered he had another undiagnosed hernia and needed surgery to repair both. Johnson still killed it in the playoffs, but his game slowly regressed by the mid to late 90s. And due to his hernias, he missed a ton of regular season games, during a time when the Suns were contending. It's sad to see, because these years were Barkley's best chance at winning the title, yet his best teammate was struggling to recover. Monte Ellis. Prior to the start of the 2008-09 season, Monte Ellis was somebody that the entire league was paying attention to. He was a second-round pick who made astronomical strides in his game within a few years. In the season prior, he put up incredible numbers, but what stood out was his ability to finish. The dude took 43% of his total shots at the basket and hit them at an absurd 68% rate. For a guard, for a guy of his size, that's incredible. He was at the top of the league at his position. However, in the 2008 offseason, he signed a hefty 6-year, $66 million deal. But shortly after that, he breached his contract by riding a moped, crashed, and severely injuring his ankle. Not only did he get suspended for 30 games, but that injury hampered his athleticism and speed. Ellis would miss most of the season, and when he came back, his playstyle changed. He still tried to attack the rim, but transitioned mainly into a mid-range player. His number of drives and attempts at the basket drastically fell, and as a result, his efficiency fell. Still, Ellis had some fantastic seasons afterwards, but he didn't look like the same guy as before. However, the most critical aspect of Monte's injury was the domino effect. Previously, the Warriors won 48 games, but with him sitting out and Baron Davis getting traded, the Warriors had a horrendous season. But by winning just 29 games, they were bad enough to get a high lottery pick, which they used to select Steph Curry. Now think about it this way, had Ellis not crashed his moped, he was primed to have a career season in Golden State, and definitely would have added a few more wins to the team, so they wouldn't be bad enough to draft Curry. Everything that happened to Ellis indirectly made them a championship team, even though he himself was never part of it. Also, honorable mention to Larry Bird. I'm sure you've heard the stories of how he'd constantly help his family shovel snow and even helped his mom build a new driveway. His back problems can be attributed to that, although I wouldn't necessarily say it was a stupid way to derail his career, but he could have had a longer run if he hired somebody to do the job for him. All those back problems that ended his career early, it was mostly because of that. Anyway, that's all folks. Those were a bunch of players who suffered career-altering injuries in a stupid manner. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and can you think of any other players who also suffered silly injuries that hampered their career? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.